Hey there, welcome to DIY Projects with Pete. Today I'm out here at my new renovation project, which is a home built in 1979 on 10 acres out here in Montana. And I've had it for about a month so far, but beforehand it was rented out for 15 years. So it definitely is in need of a lot of work. It of course had the popcorn ceilings, a lot more walls than it really needed to have, and it's just in need of a lot of TLC. Now so far, I've sort of gutted the house, ripped out all the trim, a lot of the walls, the flooring, and we're starting to put it back together. So retexturing, painting, doing some drywall, put in all solid hickory flooring, and so it's come a long ways in the short amount of time that I've had it so far. And then next spring, we're planning on kind of renovating the outside and doing new siding, new windows, and then possibly changing up the roof line to give it just kind of a neater look. Now, I'd love to hear from you and get some feedback on what you think looks good, what doesn't, and what you would do to give it kind of that mountain contemporary Scandinavian look. I'm excited to do this project. Now, if you're into renovations and are interested in following this specific one, I'd love for you to do so. Please like this video and subscribe. That way you're gonna get all the upcoming videos. So we're gonna take a look at the property and the house in today's video. Let's get started. Here's a look at the backyard of the home. There was a lot of old fencing, random junk, dog houses, a horse shelter, and some other outbuildings to remove. This is a chicken coop that was used at one time, and then here's a pretty cool old Ford pickup truck that was on the property. I listed the couple outbuildings that I wanted gone for free on Craigslist, and within a few days they were all removed from the property. The guys picking up this one were going to take it home and get it all fixed up. Now, loading each of these outbuildings was quite a process, but somehow they were able to get it all figured out. The old Ford pickup truck was going back to the previous owner of the home to eventually get restored, and the chicken coop was headed over to a farm in the next valley over. I spent the next 3 or 4 days cleaning up the property. I mowed some paths for walking, removed a bunch of weeds, and then I used a tractor to pull just under 100 fence posts and took 2 full trailer loads of metal fencing to the steel yard to recycle. Then I had a big roll-off bin delivered for all the construction waste during the renovation.
Tell me what's going on right now.
I got the new keys for my new home.
All those keys?
There's a...
Oh, there it is, the ribbon one.
We got it.
There it is. A couple of the rooms that we've done so far. So the entire house has a popcorn ceiling, and I just have to deal with it. And that's kind of one of the things that comes along with buying a home that was built in the 1970s. Mine was built in 1979. Made sure to have it tested so that we found out it didn't have asbestos, and that meant that we could DIY to remove the ceilings. Or this is the master bedroom of the home, and we scraped this yesterday. It came off. This room is about 12 by 14 or 15, and this took about an hour to an hour and a half to complete the entire process. Now here's the master bathroom. It's pretty small, but I think with a glass shower, some tile, and new storage and a new sink that it's going to look and function a lot better. I'll walk on over to one of the other bedrooms here. This is a similar sized bedroom, and it took about the same amount of time. Now, this bedroom actually had a little bit thicker paint on it, and so that kind of made it so that we had to kind of scarcify the popcorn ceiling to make it come off a little bit easier, but it still came off just fine even with paint on it. Here's the guest bathroom on the main floor. The brown sink and the bathtub need to go, and it's going to be redone completely with a new tub, some tile, and then maybe a concrete sink. Now we'll head down to the basement, and I'll show you that. I know the lighting's not perfect, but we did scrape this ceiling yesterday. It's all dried up. We did this entire room. It took a little bit longer to start, but then once we got going, figured out the process, it probably took about an hour and a half as well. We were really moving, and I had 2 people here. And moving on into the final room of the basement. I don't know if you'll be able to see anything. The lighting is terrible, but we did this room, I think it took us 45 minutes. We had a goal and we reached it. All right. Here's a look at the basics of removing a popcorn ceiling. First, have the samples tested to make sure there's no asbestos in the ceiling. And if you don't have any, then you're good to remove the popcorn yourself. Use a pump sprayer to mist small areas at a time. Let it sit about 10 minutes, and then use some type of a scraper to remove the popcorn ceiling. It's a dirty and not so much fun job, but just think about how good it's going to look once you're all done. Ceilings that have been painted are a bit more of a pain to deal with. You'll need to let it soak longer, and you may need to scrape the popcorn ceiling up so that the water can saturate into the material a little bit easier. Most of the home had a real thin trim and some old hollow doors, so the trim, door jambs, and doors were all taken out. The carpet was all pretty nasty in the basement and then in all the bedrooms, so I took a utility knife and started removing all of it. I generally like to remove the carpet in small strips to make it easy to carry out to the dumpster. I used a pry bar to remove all the tack strips, which are used to hold carpet in place. It's a good idea to wear gloves for this because those tacks are super sharp. The basement was divided into a small living space with a bedroom and a bathroom on the other side, and I wanted to be able to open up the basement so it can be one large living space and sort of a rec room for like a ping pong table and for hanging a TV to watch hockey and football on. I used a sledgehammer to remove the drywall, and will soon be replacing the existing wall with a large beam and a center post to be able to replace the load-bearing wall. The kitchen was definitely dated, and it really closed off the area from the living room, so I decided to open up that wall as well. I was lucky to find out this small segment of wall was not load-bearing, and so I simply removed the cabinets, then moved out the fridge, turned off the electricity at the panel, and went at it with a sledgehammer to remove the drywall. A garbage can works pretty well for picking up the smaller pieces of drywall to get them up and out of the house. Then I removed the rest of the studs and the top plate and bottom plate. Here's a look at the kitchen and living area on the main floor once the wall was completely gone. It really opens things up, and I think it's going to be great for entertaining friends and family once everything is complete. A big rectangular wood deck is on the back of the home, and I'm thinking to redo the deck in the spring and to do a cable-type railing around the perimeter. It's going to be an awesome place for barbecues and coffee in the morning. Moving back inside, I removed the last of the cabinets, the backsplash, and then most of the appliances. Planning the kitchen is the next big thing to figure out, and so I took the measurements, and I'm going to have a cabinet company come out with some cool layouts and then have them include a big island in the center and then plenty of cabinet space for storage. The basement always smelled a bit in one of the corners, so I decided to open up the wall and get to the bottom of it.
Oh my God.
Turns out the mice like to hang out in this area. It was pretty disgusting, but was luckily only in this area, and I completely removed everything, so it's all taken care of and mice-free now. The floor by the entryway was rotted out, so Danny threw in a sheet of plywood to fix that problem. Then I did a skip trowel texture on all the walls and the ceilings on the first floor. It took a while, but it sure made a big difference, and then after everything was done, the house started to smell like that nice new construction smell. Now we're back in the basement after things have been cleaned up a bit, and we'll be installing the new support beam and post within the next week so the wall can be removed. The house has a third bathroom in the basement with an old sink and then a shower and really old fixtures that will all be replaced. So there will be some work done there. Let's move on to the utility room. The utility room is pretty basic. The house basically runs completely on baseboard electric heat, and then there isn't any natural gas or propane, at least right now. Water all comes from a 170-foot deep well. You can see there's a pressure tank, a hot water heater, and then the laundry machines in there too. Here's a look at the garage and where some of the upcoming project videos are going to be filmed before I build a separate shop, which will hopefully be next summer. I'm going to add some insulations, new drywall, doors, lighting, and then do some paint and texturing to make the garage look like new. The wood stove got removed in the basement, and then Danny helped with removing the old tile around it. The rotary tool was definitely a lifesaver for removing the tile and made the process go super quick. I sealed up all the subfloors with Kills paint prior to laying down the new flooring. I always like to do this, especially if there's any pet stains. And then we prepped the floors and then started laying down 3/4 inch solid hickory flooring. Flooring's a bit of an art, and it's a lot of fun to pick out the boards and then lay them down in the pattern that you like. Now, this floor had quite a bit of color variation, and I was really happy with the final product. We used a flooring stapler with 2-inch long staples to attach each board, and it took about 4 to 5 days to lay down about 1,100 square feet of the flooring. The walls have all been painted with a white alabaster paint from Sherwin-Williams, and I want to give a huge shout out to Chip and Joanna Gaines from the Fixer Upper show on HGTV. Their show has given me a lot of inspiration and ideas for this renovation, and I'll have the links to the episodes that have inspired this project in the description below. Lastly, we'll do a quick walkthrough to show the new flooring. To the right, we have the guest bedroom. Then moving on, we have the master bedroom in the back left side of the house. Some good lighting and nice windows there. And then finally, we have the third bedroom, which is going to be used as an office. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you're interested in following the progress of this renovation, definitely subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in other DIY projects, check out some of the other videos on the channel. Thanks again for watching, and cheers from Montana.